the show for real estate entrepreneurs. Former FBI negotiator, teaches the master class on negotiating and negotiations, best-selling author of Never Split the Difference, in my opinion, quite possibly the best book of negotiations of all time.
Thank you.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about kind of where you learned those skills and like how you sharpened those skills?
Yeah, it's just applied emotional intelligence, and I'm sure I diminished that by saying just. But I first started learning it on a suicide hotline in New York City because they told me that I was unqualified to become an FBI hostage negotiator, which I was, and that the only way that I could get myself eligible was to volunteer on a hotline. And so I volunteered, and I can remember being on the hotline. I'm thinking like, maybe this stuff will work in regular interactions. Is crisis intervention really that different? Are the rules different?
Wow.
And it did. And so then I learned hostage negotiation and kept blending I had a big head start on hostage negotiation, knowing the crisis intervention skills, which again was just applied empathy. What we now refer to in a Black Swan method is tactical empathy. That's all it was, is, just an intentional strategic application of what establishes relationships quickly and accelerates the timeline. Because when I first volunteered on a hotline, they're like, if you're doing it right, you got a 20-minute time limit on every call, and if you're doing it right, it's going to take less than 20 minutes. And I remember thinking, like, no, in the movies and TV, it takes hours. How's it possible? And if people have been struggling with problems forever, or even a negotiation, how's it possible that you can accelerate it that fast? I will tell you that we got on the phone. My team got on the phone with a counterpart in what was potentially a contentious negotiation about 2 weeks ago. We had scheduled an hour, and with our preparation that we go through on a Black Swan method, including the social conversation at the beginning, because one of the people on the other side of the table was getting ready to have a baby, it took 17 minutes.
So is that, when you say 20 minutes, like you're literally talking people off the edge in 20 minutes?
It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to kind of dive into all that and have a lot of great questions centered around negotiating and things like that. But when did you kind of realize that you were like really good at this and this was going to be a thing for you?
Well, it's more that I enjoyed it. And then it's a perishable skill. So the one of the real big wake-up calls for me early on was I was up for my annual review on a suicide hotline. And I thought I had a fantastic call. Supervisors listening on the phone in the other room. And the caller that called in congratulated me at the end of the call for how good I was. So, I'm walking into the other room, kind of polishing my fingernails on my shirt, like, yeah,
Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, pat myself on the back. And the guy supervising said, that was horrible. And I'm like, you didn't listen to my call, because my call was so good that the guy congratulated me at the end. And he said, let's start there. That means that he's helpless without you. That means he can't do it without you. That means he didn't own the outcome. Now, let's translate that into today's business negotiations. If the other side doesn't own the outcome, they're not going to do it. We like to say in the Black Swan method, yes is nothing without how. And everybody out there knows in their bones, if they've been in business for more than 6 weeks, the yes is nothing without how. I used to ask business people all the time, have you ever heard a yes only to find out later it was a no? Because you heard a yes without a how. Yes is, and if the other side doesn't own it, doesn't feel vested, if they don't feel good about the deal, implementation is either going to be non-existent or it's going to be so sloppy that you will wish you never did the deal. So, that's a critical issue in negotiations. If you beat the other side, they're not going to implement, or they'll never deal with you again.
To watch this full Founders Club interview, click the link in the description below. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for future videos.